Hey guys, how's it going? It's Cranky Yankee here. Just something just not really occurred to me, but was just listening to the Steve Dangle podcast, most recent one, and they were talking about the Austin Watson suspension and how it was. I think it was 27 games or something, and now they've reduced it to 18, and that I think something like the NHLPA wasn't happy with the decision, and the NHL wasn't, and they were saying how like they were trying to use it as an example of when people violate their code of conduct of the league and everything. And basically, I'm going to paraphrase what my interpretation of the NHL statement is, and that's that they basically said, we don't want a player who's associated with domestic violence. This is us punishing you and making an example of you because this is not the kind of conduct that we want to represent. We don't want people in our league who do this because we don't represent this kind of behavior, which I understand and I think they're completely valid and justified in saying and feeling. I actually read today on Twitter a statement that appeared to have been made by Austin Watson's girlfriend saying that she has trouble with alcohol and has been in and out of AA for a while, and that she was intoxicated and that it was her fault. Now, I want to believe that that's the case, because I don't like to hear about a hockey player beating up his girlfriend, because it happens a lot and it shouldn't. And I like Austin Watson as a player. I think he's a good player. I like him on, I think he plays for Nashville. Yeah, I like him on Nashville. He's one of the players I like on Nashville. But, I just didn't want to hear him be like, oh, it's another hockey player that got drunk and beat up his girlfriend because, hockey players are big physical alpha males and blah, 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 for insert reason here. But here's my thing, and this is a bit of a hot take, but this is what I think's actually going on. I think what actually happened in this situation is, as his girlfriend said, that she has a problem with alcohol and she was drunk, and I think she was actually the one that was getting physical with him, because let's be real, guys, and I myself, as a full-grown 30-year-old man, have been what I think Austin Watson was in this situation, on the receiving end of an upset or pissed off girlfriend who has a tendency to throw fists. They exist. I've dated several girls like that. I myself in college was in a physically and mentally abusive relationship with a girl, and where she was physically and mentally abusing me. I'll get to that story at another date. It's not something I want to share at this moment. But I have been in a relationship like that. I'm not saying that's the relationship, but I'm saying I've been in a relationship where this situation could very realistically occur. Now, what I think happened is I think she got pissed and was just like hitting him, like whacked him on the chest, or was like trying to, maybe not really trying to like punch him in the face, but like, the girls are like beat up, like, because he's probably a lot bigger than her, right? So she's probably, the closest thing she could probably get to when she's swinging is like his chest. So she's probably more like beating on his chest and he's holding her, and maybe he like kind of pushed her away kind of hard to be like, get away, like you're hurting me, or trying to just kind of keep her at bay to somewhat defend himself. And I've done this. I would never hit a woman, but I would definitely like grab a girl and hold her and not push her, but like move her to a different way, or kind of try to not like hit her, but like put my hands on her and then like use all my weight to push her away from me. I've never shoved a girl over, but I've definitely pushed girls out of my way, and when they've done this. And I think that he's getting punished for her. I think that the NHL looked at this and said, well, it doesn't matter if this is what actually happened. We don't want girlfriends to do this either. And they should have came down on this with Mike Hoffman's girlfriend too, with the stuff that she said about the Carlsons, because I think that's just as valid as a person who doesn't represent the NHL in a way that they want to be represented. And I feel that one thing that a lot of people who watch hockey forget is that when these guys have families, when they have girlfriends and wives and children, like most of their kids are small, so I doubt many of their kids I've never heard of anybody's kids really getting involved in anything until like after, like say if they get drafted or actually get it, like if one of the Kachuk boys got into something, it's like, well he's already playing, so it's kind of more like he's just a hockey player like his dad was or whatever. But when your wife or your girlfriend starts shit, you're responsible for that. And a lot of things that people don't think about is that when it comes to running a hockey team, it matters more than just what you do on the ice. Like, there have been guys who go out and they have some of the phenomenal people, incredibly skilled, all-star people. I can't think of any off the top of my head. I can't think of an all-star guy, but I think a guy like Mike Ribeiro, for instance, who had some of the best hands I've ever seen. Man, that guy could pass. But he was a drug addict. He was a junkie. And that's why he never went anywhere. And having a toxic relationship can do the same thing. And maybe not necessarily get you out of the league, but it can get you traded. Mike Hoffman is a perfect example of that. There was nothing wrong with his play as far as I'm concerned in Ottawa. He got traded simply because of his girlfriend. And I think that the arbitrator said, I don't think that 27 games is sufficient when it wasn't necessarily his fault. It was his girlfriend's. I think that maybe, okay, we can understand that you want to give him a suspension, but it's a little excessive. And the NHL doesn't see it that way. But I think they're like, look, we're making an example of you. We don't want any players or spouses of players getting involved in domestic violence disputes. With this whole Me Too movement and everything and all this stuff, it makes as much sense to hold these women. Well, I say women because we don't know of any gay guys, and there's nobody that's married to a man, so we're going to say women because that's all there are right now. I mean, I would say the same thing if there was a homosexual hockey player married to a man. His husband would be held to the same standard that he is, as well as these wives and girlfriends need to be held to the same standard that these hockey players are. If the NHL wants to set this standard for their players, and they're showing by upholding this suspension that they're holding the wives and girlfriends of these players to the same standard. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that necessarily. Because I'm not trying to say that Austin Watson didn't do this or that his girlfriend was the culprit or whatever. But the point is that if that is the case, I'm sure I'm pretty sure the NHL was aware of it. Because I'm pretty sure that the statement that I read was written by her, and she was the one stating that she had the problem with alcohol and that it was her fault and that Austin shouldn't be held responsible for her actions. But the problem is that he represents the Nashville Predators organization, and she being with him, i.e. in turn indirectly, also represents the Nashville Predators organization. And if the Nashville Predators organization doesn't want to be involved with a player who has the cops called because of a domestic violence or a domestic disturbance, even if it wasn't anything necessarily physical, could still be called a domestic disturbance if they're outside yelling at each other and screaming and saying horrible things. That's a domestic disturbance. It's not physical, but that's still some of the same thing. Cops can get called and whatever. So, fists don't even have to fly for this stuff to happen. They're saying, look, you were being held the same front, and because of this, your boyfriend is getting punished because we can't punish you because you're not directly a part of this organization, but because you are helping represent our player, we're punishing him because we can't punish you. And that's what I think it really boils down to, is that they're like, look, they can't really, I don't know, so the NHL can, legally do anything against her if she drops the charges or whatever, or whatever happened. But they can still punish him because they have control. They do have power over him, and they're like, look, we can't punish you, but we're going to punish your boyfriend. So unless you want your boyfriend to keep getting suspensions and getting his career fucked over, clean your shit up. And I think that's how it should be. And I think that I wouldn't have been surprised if Mike Hoffman had gotten a suspension. I think he got traded, so I think they were like, whatever, you got traded, so the punishment's been done. But I wouldn't be surprised if his girlfriend starts shit in Florida, you don't see some kind of repercussions happening to Mike Hoffman again. And it's one of those things where we just have to understand as fans and as followers of this sport and this wonderful, amazing sport that we have, that these guys are real dudes. They're probably the most down-to-earth, realistic, professional athletes you'll ever meet. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that they're the least paid. Yeah, they're millionaires, but they're those millionaires I am a millionaire because I can skate real good and shoot a puck. It doesn't mean I'm any more intelligent than any other person or that I'm a superior in any way other than in sports ability, but especially because a lot of these guys, by the time they're done their hockey, they're 40. I mean, that's still pretty damn young. Most of these guys are retiring now in their mid to late 30s. I mean, not much older than I am. I'm 30 now. If I was a hockey player, I'd be in my, waning, or I'd be in my prime, winding into the end of my career. Most guys my age probably have another 5 or 6 years left, 10 if they're lucky. But you don't see many 40-year-old guys playing in the NHL anymore. You don't see many guys over the age of 36 playing anymore unless they're still really good, like, Joe Thornton. Well, Joe Thornton I think is like 40, but Joe Thornton's still really good for his age. I mean, and look at Jágr. Jágr played till he was like 44, so I mean, he's a fucking legend. I mean, I'm not putting anybody in Jágr. I mean, he is a legitimate legend. And will be. I'm biased in that, but I'm getting off topic though. My point about this is that I just really want to say that that's what I think is kind of going on in this. I think that what I want to believe is that that there wasn't necessarily anything too crazy going on, like as far as fists and slapping and hitting and violent stuff goes, but I think that his girlfriend just got drunk and got pissed off at him and started smacking him, or maybe she slapped him or did something like that, because I've been in that situation several times in my life. Matter of fact, y'all see, Katie smacks me all the time. I mean, it's more playful, but I mean, to be completely honest, Katie's, I know it's never escalated above that, and I know it won't. But some girls, it's like, they do start to that, and then when they get pissed off, they hit you. And it is no more right for a woman to hit a man than it is for a man to hit a woman. It's no more right for anybody. It's not right for anybody to hit anybody, regardless of race or gender or anything. There's no call for that. There's no need to hit people. I mean, hockey is different. It's in the game. It's your job to shove people, and sometimes you need to fight. That's part of the game, but that's a structured, ruled, it's an acceptable platform for that kind of emotion. And I think that as humans, we need to understand that that's why sports like hockey are very popular, and why they are as popular as they are. Because we as humans, we are violent creatures. Even if it's just in our mind. We all have that penchant for violence. And we are all fascinated with violence, for whatever reason. You look back to the Romans, and they had the Colosseum and all the gladiator fights. That's the same thing. These are our gladiator fights. Hockey players, football players, basketball players, baseball players, any sport, people who do sports, MMA guys, boxers. These are our gladiators. They are the same exact thing. The only difference is now is they don't kill each other, generally. And we have it more structured, and there's rules to it. So we figure it's more of a civilized violence, a civilized platform for violence. And I think that we as a species need that. But we still have at the end of the day need to remember that our idols and heroes in these sports are humans just like you and I. And they make mistakes. And we need to all understand that. We all need to understand there are consequences and responsibilities with all of our actions. And I think that the decision was fair. I think 27 was a little bit excessive, and now that I found out what I think to be the whole story, I think that 17 games is fair. If she really cares and loves him, and I'm pretty sure that they do, because they have a kid together and they're still together, and I know they're not married yet, but being in basically that same situation right now, and have been for almost 3 years now, still with the mother and not married. Of course, we're getting married soon, but that's down the road. I'll announce that in a bit. You finalize some stuff first, but yeah. But yeah. So if she really loves him and cares for him, she's gonna use this as kind of a wake up call for her too, to kind of get herself better. Because I hate to hear this, and if she has a problem with alcohol, then I hope she gets the help that she needs, because she's got a little kid and she's got seems to me like, from what I gather, I think he cares deeply for the girl too. And I don't blame him. I mean, we're men, we do crazy things for love. That's just how it is. Women, y'all are witches, and you cast spells on us, and we're like, you're little puppets. It happens. That's how men are. That's how our brains work. They're real simple. But anyways, I've blathered on enough, gotten off topic, but that's it for me. I just want to let you guys know, I just was with Steve Dangle, and they were talking about the thing, and it just reminded me of something that I had seen on Twitter earlier. I don't know if it's true. I'm not trying to say it is. I'm just saying hypothetically, this is what I want to believe the situation is, and why they made what they're really saying. what the NHL is really saying about not, because of how they don't want to, that's not the kind of player they want to represent and everything. And I think that they're completely justified. I'm not mad at the NHL because they're running a business, and stuff like this is bad for business. It's just how it is. Right now, this stuff is not good for business, and they don't want any part of it, and I don't blame them. But I hope that, I hope Austin Watson and his girlfriend work this out. It sounds like it's something that they've been dealing with for a while now, and they've been stuck by each other, and I have a lot of respect for them, and my heart goes out to them because I've been through similar things, and that's what I think love really is. It's not just a promise, it's a commitment. And I'm a big believer in walking the walk before talking the talk when it comes to marriage and stuff. So it's like, if you're gonna marry the person, I feel like that you need to be with them for a while before you decide so. And I also am a big believer that just having a child with somebody doesn't necessarily necessitate getting married. It's something that you should probably wait and do until after you're married. But I mean, I didn't. I made not a mistake, but I made a decision, and it didn't work out quite the way that I thought it was going to. But you know what? I don't care. I wouldn't trade it. I have no regrets. That's it for me. It's been the Cranky Yankee. Another little bit of hockey talk video for you. Like and subscribe if you have, and browsing the way through. Sorry this video got a little deep there, but yeah, just it seems like I've been in a similar situation a few times in my life, similar to what Austin Watson's going through right now, minus the police and court involvement and all this publicity around it. But I've been in a situation like this much more privately. And I can kind of relate, so I just figured this kind of my take on it, and that's what I think's really going on. And hopefully this kind of makes you see kind of both sides of the story, and kind of not really be mad at either, because I feel like there's not a lot of reason to be mad at either. I mean, people make mistakes, and the NHL is a business. It played out pretty much the way it should. So that's kind of my take. But I know a lot of people talk about it. A lot of people are really triggered by it, so I figured to just give you guys my 2 cents, and hopefully it can kind of help you see the opposite side of the story from your view, because I always kind of try to talk both sides, but it's just me. I try to be the mediator and stay in the middle. I'm the Cranky Yankee, guys, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.